Dan, you there? What was that?
Me.
Clearing your nose?
What?
Blowing your nose before the meeting?
I'm in the back of a 7-Eleven in downtown Truckee. No, I'm just kidding.
Send money, send help. That's funny. Close my window. So Justin last Friday night, Saturday was hitting me up, and he was like, "Hey, I got something really great to show you for Monday." And I'm like, "Well, show me now." He's like, "No, I don't want to spoil it for Monday." It's like, okay.
I'm pretty stoked about mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, how is uploading to the build coming? You were gonna upload some models today. I heard something, but I can see that he's talking because his light lights up, but
Yeah, that's odd, huh?
yeah. Oh, there's Chris. There's Chris.
Hey,
Hey,
Are you
how's it
muted,
going?
Dan? Maybe you're muted. Hey, Chris.
hey.
We're all sitting here quiet waiting for Dan. I can see that I can see the light coming on like he's talking, but I can't hear him.
So, are we sure this isn't the ideal scenario?
Where we can't see or hear him.
But if he really needs to tell us something, he can type it.
There you go.
It's a win-win-win.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're Dan, but yeah.
So how's everything going with everyone else while we wait to get started? Oh, there's Justin.
Hello.
Wow,
Hello.
everyone's
Hey.
perfectly on time today. It's like everyone wanted to be here or something.
Yeah.
So Dan's working on some microphone issues, we think. Who, maybe Justin or Matt, one of you guys want to go first?
Oh, I
Are
want to
you
go.
are you
I-
recording this?
Yeah, I am
session?
recording today, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll go first. I have very big things to show for this time.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
All right, let's see if I can load it up.
Okay, it's loading. There we go.
All right, can. Okay, so basically, so in the original Colony Wars games, there was, I think everyone who played it noticed that there were collisions that happened a whole bunch that weren't very good.
Yeah.
Because an enemy ship would just sort of run into other things and then have to back up, and they just
Yeah.
it would take away from the whole flow. And then what I have done is figure out a way how to remove collisions. Basically, now all the AI in this version are really good at avoiding collisions. So
Okay.
let's see. I'll load up this test and I can show it in action. All right. So if you can see this running right now,
Wow.
the right side of the screen, the right middle, shows what the AI sees at this moment. It is a sort of grid, and there's filled portions in this grid when it notices a asteroid. And when it notices that it is on a collision course for an asteroid, then it rotates a little bit to get out of the way.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. It actually
Yeah.
can see in front of itself.
Yep.
Oh
And
my god.
Should avoid most collisions. I think I ran it running for like 10 minutes and only ran into a collision once. So in this little simulation I made, it just sort of spawns asteroids in front of it, and it has to keep moving forward in this general direction.
Okay.
And I've set it up in such a way so that you can set whatever target direction it wants to move in. So if it wants to attack the player, all it has to do is set its target direction to wherever the player's at. And it will see, it will basically go, I want to move over there, but I need to account for all these objects in front of me. And so, yes, this took much work, but I'm
Yeah.
extremely happy with how it turned out. It looks very cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
So
that's
now
cool.
all of our AI is that much smarter. It can
Yep.
actually
Hey,
see in
can you
front
hear
of
me?
itself.
Let's see. I have another test I can load up. Last week, actually, I think I forgot which one it is. Yeah, last week we did a test where we were showing off the gunships and their ability to fire things.
Yeah.
And when we showed that off, there were a bunch of the ships were basically running into the gunship, and they weren't moving because they weren't close enough to be able to register that they needed to move out of the way.
Yeah.
And I have fixed that. So now in this, oh, actually, I need to change a bit of code in a second. But I basically fixed that, so it's not going to be an issue anymore.
Okay.
Let's
Cool.
see.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go, Dan.
Damn it!
Yeah. I don't know. Some weird setting in Discord. This wasn't detecting my. I had to like do a bunch of crap. So, anyways.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's weird. Discord's been weird lately. It seems like I get dropped a lot. Oh, there we go.
Yes. So if this all works correctly, then I'll go over to where the ships are, and you can see how they won't get into a position where they will run into the bigger ship right here.
Okay.
And so they're basically registering that this is a very large hitbox, and they do that by going to each of the corners of the hitbox and projecting it into their view, basically.
Their vision, yeah.
Yeah. So what this does is that it accounts for objects of any size, and well, there's obviously edge cases right here. I don't know what's happening here,
He's
but
stuck.
yeah, it doesn't do good with moving objects. That's what I'm going to work on this week. Right now, it's really
Okay.
good for stationary objects, but it doesn't really account for the fact that a moving object is going to be in a different position than where it is currently.
Yeah.
So, for its current point, for this large object, it's never going to run close enough to hit it, and if it is on a collision course, it's going to realize that and basically turn out of the way.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That is
There's
so
also
cool.
I also added an actual ability of it, a function that if it ever does collide, it will realize that it's colliding with something and just running into it and back up and actually turn away so that it won't be doing that anymore.
Okay. That's awesome. This already looks so good. This already looks so playable.
Yeah. So the collision detection for or collision avoidance rather for objects that are staying completely still is done.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. That is so cool, dude.
Yeah, and that's it. That's everything this week. The next week I'm going to work a lot on getting that moving object done. And I this current version actually doesn't use machine learning at all. I set it up so that I was like it should work. The thing about machine learning is that if you can give it the correct inputs, then it should be able to find a relationship between those inputs.
Mhm.
But I realized that there are too many inputs necessary for a object to avoid colliding with something that isn't moving. So that was better to just solve without machine learning. But I did figure out that next I'm going to make this this function that will take in the data of a moving object and give it a score about whether or not it's going to collide with the AI. And if it does, it's just going to boost out of the way, because I really want to try and make it so that it is impossible for the player to collide into them no matter what.
Mhm.
So that even if the player is actively trying to collide into the AI, it's just not possible.
Okay.
So that's pretty ambitious, but I think I have everything necessary to make it done.
And then at that point, I mean, the AI is pretty much playable.
Oh, for sure.
It's like finished almost. It's quality assurance level testing quality at that point.
At its current level, this AI is playable. It's just that there's a lot more that we can do to make it better.
Yeah.
I think this update is the one that makes it so it is playable though.
Yeah.
Like we could release this version and be fine.
Yeah.
But I really want to try and work on not only that what's it called? The thing I just said, the avoidance for moving objects, but I also want to try and make each of these AI unique in some way.
Yeah.
Additionally, is it possible for us to recolor a ship like with a variable? Is that like if we want to make these ships instead of blue, if we want to make them red, is that a thing that is possible?
I mean, that's
Yeah,
all in
you have to tap into whatever shader that you're using. But you can use like masking in the shader,
Mm-hmm.
and then mask a color out.
I think what we could do for that would be like if I do the textures, if it was gray and we had like like a hue set like a hue slider, we could change it to any color we want. So like if we wanted that, we could have variations of whatever hue.
Yeah, that's
As
true.
long as
Just given an RGB value or even a hex value.
Right, and we just make it so it like we do a mask with a couple of layers, and as long as it's white or gray or a neutral color, we could change it to whatever.
Because what I'm thinking of is that in order to add variety, I put in my little AI notes that we could possibly have different ships of different ranking, in the sense that a ship of a higher ranking will have slightly more health and speed and things like that, representing a better ship, and also they're going to make a little bit more ambitious moves, and that could be a way to increase variety. But instead of just having a ship that does that and the player just thinks it's a bug or whatever, we actually represent it by a ship that looks different, or in our situation just has a different color.
It reminds me of the Koopa Troopas in Super Mario World. The green ones will walk to an edge and then turn around, where the red ones will walk off the edge. It's a way to give a cue to the player that this is the behavior of this enemy is different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
From a visual standpoint, you can always represent that. One of the ways that old fighter races used to do that is with they would paint kills on the side of their ship.
Oh.
Or on the side of their
That's
fighter.
cool.
So if they've shot down so many things, they'll have so many little silhouettes of enemy fighters on the side of their cockpit.
And you know what? We're at, especially when we run this in 4K, the texture quality is high enough to actually see that decal on the side of the ship.
So the advantage is it is a visual cue to the player, but it's also a visual cue that they'd have to look for, which means they'd have to start putting that together.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that when I made the textures and all that, I made it. I didn't mirror any of it. I left it open so that you could have different decals on either side of the chip.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that, along the same vein, one of the other things that it reminded me of in terms of like enemy skill is Japanese fighters back in World War II. Wing commanders would have you've all seen the old Japanese fighters, the straight wing with the little red dot on the side of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the wing commanders would paint a stripe on their wing as well. That's what that meant. It meant that other fighters followed that ship.
Ooh, I like that. I like the stripe even more than the idea of like the little kill count. It'll be easier to read at a distance.
It'd be cool if you could tell by the way that they fly too, like if they were more aggressive.
Well, that's what will probably end up happening, right? You'll be playing and you're like, God, I just can't hit this guy, or this guy's already got my shields down to 50%.
Yeah, I think just visually showing that this is not just due to the fact that the AI is better in some cases, but there's an actual reason why it's better, is something that could be really good.
So so in terms of changing the color, we could just do artistic variations, something the pilot has theoretically done to customize their ship.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some of it is standardized. So a ship of a particular rank will always have this, and some of it is randomized. A ship of this level may have, when it spawns, may have any of these variety of markings.
Yeah.
Based on what the pilot may have done to their own craft.
And it kind of personalizes things just a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
Adds to the immersion.
You can learn about the pilot's family before you shoot him down.
Learn about the pilot's family. Hear the last fight he had with his wife.
You know those stickers that people have on the back of their cars of all the stick figure family members?
Yeah.
They could have that on their ship.
Yeah,
So I,
you're
actually, so
right.
I actually thought of so it's a joke. I actually thought about that a little bit. So in a lot of these games, when your allies get shot down, you can hear them on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought about, what if we implement something like that where the enemy can choose to broadcast on a general channel to taunt or mock you a little bit,
Well,
but also that when you shoot them down, you can hear distress calls.
Oh,
They
that
did
would be
that
an
in Wing
interesting
Commander.
twist.
They did that in Wing Commander. The Killer Opti would make fun of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Whereas,
Yeah, that would be
that's
interesting.
because that's a time-honored tradition. Is mock your opponent over the radio, try to demoralize them a little bit.
That would definitely add some personality. That would be part of our touch to the remakes.
It definitely add a little bit more work on the sound end of things. But we can get into that more when I get to my section, because that's kind of what I've been working on the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay, Justin, this is awesome. Since we're kind of still in the realm of programming, maybe Matt wants to go next.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm streaming. Can you guys see my stream?
Let me switch to your stream. Yeah.
All right, so this week I got a chance to start working on the missiles.
Mm-hmm.
So let me find this guy here. I can target.
Oh.
And then once he's targeted, that'll stay like that till I hit the button again. So I release the button and then hit it again.
Yeah.
And
Ooh, that looks so good. That looks so much. That is so reminiscent of the original. Oh my god.
yeah, so if
that was great.
Yeah, so if I don't find, if I don't let it lock on completely, like if I just go kind of like a half press,
Yeah.
I can do it again and keep doing it.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is it's finding the enemy that I'm more closely pointed at. If that makes sense.
Yeah, closest to the reticle.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
so
then if I
cool.
target somebody and they leave the screen, they detarget as well.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That looks so good, Matt. It's so like the original.
And I do still have the problem where if I'm using like the super boost or whatever, like I hit my own projectiles.
I think I want to
so
say it was that way in the original. That you could actually run into your own lasers later on in the game when you were fast enough.
Yeah, and right now the only criteria is that they're actually on the screen.
Uh-huh.
But if I get the range at which you're turning on those UI elements for the enemies, I can use that same range.
Okay.
Justin, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
That
not
is
bad.
so cool.
Wish I could find a cluster of these guys somewhere.
That is so cool. Oh my god. Are you playing this on a PlayStation controller?
I'm playing with an Xbox.
Okay.
Controller,
So that's why it looks so fluid. It doesn't look like
Mhm.
a mouse and keyboard. It looks really fluid.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom. Oh my god, that looks so cool.
You can see I targeted that last enemy without his little icon being up. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's an issue or not, but
That's probably something that'll come out in playtesting.
Yeah, those look
yeah, and
really
I'm trying
nice.
to build it into the actual just base class of the weapon, so that any weapon can target if we want it to.
Oh, really?
So I
Even
want-
the base lasers?
Yeah, exactly. But you wouldn't use it for the lasers, obviously. But yeah, I want to spend some time just kind of cleaning that up, making it a little less hacky,
Yeah.
and then I'll implement it for the defense pod,
Okay. Yeah.
just to make sure that it's going to be easily implementable for the other weapons and everything.
Yeah, so then I guess that solves the question. We are doing the defense pod. Originally, I was on the fence about it when it was just me and Justin working on this, because he had so much on his plate. It was like adding one more thing would have killed him, I'm sure, right, Justin?
Yep.
So now, but now that we have you, Matt, now that we have you and your workhorse abilities, and you're already halfway there, I guess we might as well do the defense pod for the demo.
Yeah, we could. And what another thing that I did just to make it more useful is like I changed the colors of the UI elements to white so that whenever we use it, we can just change it to whatever color we need it to be.
So we don't have to do. It's basically an alpha channel. We don't need a colored bitmap. You just
Yeah, I just changed the color. As long as it's white, you can change the color to whatever that you want.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that when I was building those graphics.
Yeah, so I think for the UI elements that change color, we only need really just one white one.
That's smart. Okay. Yeah. This looks so cool. God, this. There we go. I mean, we have the game right there. This is the demo. This is the playable demo right here, with Justin's AI and Matt's UI, and Dan's models and my models. It all works.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're only going to be showing 3 levels in the demo, and that's going to be the first one, the one with the grapple, and what's the third one?
The third one is when you are in front of the space platform. It kind of looks like the Death Star. I have it partially built, and the craft that Dan made is going to start jettisoning the pods you picked up in the second level, and you're supposed to get them and bring them to the space platform before the enemy fighters take you or one of the other ships out.
So that's just another issue of grapple then. So there's nothing else weak, really.
Yeah. Like literally once we have the pod and the grappling hook down, we have all the major gameplay components for the demo. Not just the demo of Vengeance, but the demo for the first game as well. Then it's just a matter of finishing up the 3D models, and now we have the demo for both of the first 2 games.
So we really just need to have. We also need to have the voiceovers, right?
Yeah, so right now, just because it was cheap and it's all we had, I did do voiceovers for the second game's 3 levels worth of dialogue, both the mission briefing dialogue and like success, pilot, come home. I did some synthesized voices that I think will work for now until we can figure out how we're actually going to do voice. I'm actually, a couple of the voice samples, I'm actually really impressed by. They're all synthesized. I just copied the text out of the strategy guide and put them right into the voice synthesizer. And you guys can hear them on the website. I put them in one of the blog posts, an example of them. I'm actually shocked. They're not all great. Some of them are very clearly voice synthesized, but others sound pretty damn good. So until we have a more long-term fix for dialogue, I'm just going to keep in that direction, at least for the demo. And then after, providing we get funding and the okay and everything, we can find, actual voice actors. And luckily, Chris and I know quite a few.
I think it's interesting because in the original game, it seems like it seemed very purposeful that they were doing synthesized voiceovers. Like it seemed like it added to it the fact that it was synthesized in some way. I noticed
that was the thing. Was the first one, were they synthesized? I felt like the mission briefings were supposed to be synthesized. It sounded like a synth voice. But I do believe it was a real voice actress. But I know what you mean. It added, a computer giving you orders was part of the universe, was part of
the aesthetic. It added to the aesthetic that there was a computer giving the orders, yeah.
So I wonder if what we would do is then just record voice samples for the in-mission stuff, like the pilot banter and the stuff that is already there in the missions. Certain missions, one of the characters will say something to one of the other characters. So I wonder if that's what it is.
It's definitely something to consider. The other way to do it is we could do. So what they did is it was an actress reading the lines, though deliberately reading. So, but then they put a filter on her to make her sound a little bit more artificial.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think that might be the way to go. Because I think if we're using modern synth voice technology, it's going to date us when in 5 years, synth voices can sound better than that. Where if it's a real person's voice that we've made sound mechanical, that's always going to feel true to life.
That may be true, and frankly, that's a really good problem to have. To sit there and say, "Wow, we have the budget and the talent to voice record an actor or actress," you know, and then just put a filter over them. Um, that's kind of maybe we should pivot then, Chris, into the stuff we've been working on.
Okay.
Because so right now, I'll let Chris you take it away because you started it. So I'll let you take it from here.
So I've been putting together a team to handle sound and music.
So originally, let's set proper expectation.
Yeah.
Originally, it's more about music and recreating a couple of the soundtracks from the first two games. The soundtrack, or rather the sound effects and dialogue, is something that's been new added to the conversation just in the last 72 hours or in the last couple of days, where they're starting to reach out to people that might know how to do sound effects, which I think is really good.
We've got the guy that knows how to do sound effects. He's in the chat now.
I see that. This morning I saw he was in the chat. And you and I should probably have a follow-up meeting with the sound team after this, because we haven't had really... There's been a lot of little conversations in that chat, and we need to synergize everything.
Yeah. But in any case, I've got a number of musicians and a sound engineer or two who have come on board to redo and reorchestrate the soundtracks for the original two games, as well as to provide us with a soundtrack for the next game that we're going to be the original game we're going to be producing. They also do have the skills to master voice recording and to create or enhance sound effects that we provide to them.
So that's super exciting. I've kind of up until now, Chris and I kind of see keeping the sound team separate than the programming and visual team until it becomes more necessary to glue the two together. Because we'd have like 10 people in these meetings.
Yeah, and then what they're doing really doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing.
Yeah, but I'm very excited to say that I've digitally met a few of these people, and I have a really good vibe about them. One of them has definitely produced like video game quality music commercially. So that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Oh, has she sent you samples?
She hasn't sent me samples yet, but we had a long conversation in the chat about it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I've heard some of her original compositions. They are very good.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And then Boz, who you've also met, is also another one who's done some fantastic original compositions.
Cool. So that's what Chris and I have been working on. So I'll give you a little bit on my breakdown. I guess we'll move to Dan as well. Dan, do you want to go first, actually?
I'm almost done. You go first.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wondered, because you and I were talking this morning. I didn't know if you would have the upload ready. So last week, I don't know if you guys saw, but I linked you a little intro bumper that I made. It was designed to be an intro bumper for these YouTube videos. But after I made it, Matt and I were talking, and I think we realized it could easily be a teaser trailer. It doesn't need to just be a bumper intro. And then the more I thought about it, if I can get a playable build from you guys today or tomorrow, sometime early this week, with the AI and the UI features that we saw today, I can mix in 10, 15 seconds of actual gameplay into that teaser and release it this week and start the buzz.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I really want to do that. I don't want to do it premature, but I feel like we're at a place where we can show 10 to 15 seconds of really polished, totally recognizable gameplay and put it in the trailer and give people links to the website, to the YouTube channel, maybe to the Twitter, that whole thing. and actually start, the community buzz around this.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could get that done for sure.
I think
Yeah.
sooner the better. I'll be uploading today, and I'll be dropping everything that I have, and then eventually I'll go back and update some of the textures. Like I'm missing some emissive stuff, and I just gotta just fine tune some things. But I have all the content for this demo.
Okay. That's awesome. So I guess, Dan, we're just waiting for you to make your model uploads. I don't think Justin, we're not waiting for your AI updates because they won't necessarily be seen in that 15 seconds.
Well, since you're only gonna have to do 15 seconds, you should just revolve whatever 15 seconds you take just at a point where the AI don't collide into each other.
Yeah.
As long as you do that, then it'll be completely fine. I think just the avoiding thing where they avoid moving objects, that's gonna take like at least a week of time to make. It's very, very complex stuff, but just as long as you don't have that error in the video, then we should be fine.
Exactly. And even if we did, so long as it only happened once briefly, like in a melee of ships flying around, it might not be a showstopper because in the original they ran into things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So then Matt, we're not waiting for anything necessarily from you because the pod stuff is in progress.
No, I just got to update the server or whatever with my changes.
Okay. Cool. Then if we could get that all done by end of day today, I'll shoot the video and I'll post it tomorrow morning. I can set it to Premiere.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And then
Sure.
we can all share that video on all of our social media, anywhere we have a place to share it. So
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
help generate some buzz.
I like that.
All right, so I'm sharing my screen right now, and I have the new updated models and everything. I want to show you guys. And so here's Alex's power cell that he
That's my power cell.
diligently. Yeah, did a good job. It looks really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome looking.
Yeah.
Now, is that all
Here's
that
his
detail,
ship. Here it is.
is that all that detail just in the normal map?
Yeah, it's actually really low poly. Like I try to go as low as possible. Each of these ships are about like they're like an average like 65K triangle.
Yeah.
There's not it's not much more than like a Left 4 Dead character for a main character. And so and the good thing about the environment is that it's just a skybox, so we can crank up the details and all that stuff. But let's keep it low, and then all that details, it's all shader.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks incredible, Dan.
Yeah.
You did such a damn good job. That is awesome.
You can even see through it. Maybe if you were good enough, you could fly through it.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Unity's engine is it's not handling the normal map as best as I want. I'm noticing there's some flip normals I got to fix up and all that stuff. But I had a pretty crazy week. My daughter poked me in the eye and scratched it, so I couldn't do much.
She poked you in the eye?
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't know any better, she's just flailing around. She got me good,
Did you have? Was it bad enough to have to go to the optometrist?
No, but I woke up with a swollen eye, and it was great.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I got the most basic elements from the original ship in, and I added some more little details and all that stuff, and it's in separate parts, so that means that the center part can rotate with an animation. I got to figure that out, and then I got to get the emissive texture. And,
on the engine.
Yeah, I gotta do that for all of them, but that's not a big thing. I just have to make like a really simple Photoshop edit and call it good. But I think this should be a playable demo, right? And then
that's everything we need for the demo. The only thing we're waiting on is my battle platform model. That Death Star looking thing. I modeled it, but I'm having a hell of a time UV mapping it because I just don't have your skills. But that's it. Once we have that, we have everything we need for the Vengeance demo.
Yeah, it's spherical objects are hard to, you have to have seams no matter what with those, unless you have a really large amount of texture scaling. But I can UV it, if you just hand it to me, and
Okay.
I'll take that on and get it
I
going
appreciate
and
that,
all.
Dan. I appreciate that. I'll shoot it over to you. Um, yeah, I am very impressed with your work, Dan. This is great. This is amazing. They're so recognizable. You did such a great job at adhering to the footprint of the original model, but embellishing detail that your brain will think that you saw in the original but wasn't there, but totally jives with what is here.
Yeah, I mean, like the ship, the designs of the ships are already done, which is nice. All we had to do is just kind of go in and say like, okay, well, I guess this is what they envisioned. And like I lit this scene up particular with a bunch of different types of lighting, so that's why we have like some like dark blues and then
Yeah.
like some purple coming in from the front. I think I want to implement that into our new scenes that we're fighting in. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it would lighten up things a little bit better and all that stuff. And I mean, like, yeah, it's coming along well. I mean, yeah, I wish I was a little bit further than I was today, but yeah, we'll get there.
No, Dan, I know last week you were super busy. I wouldn't worry about it. I think like the work you've put into this is absolutely clear.
Thanks, appreciate
Yeah,
that.
this is awesome. This is awesome. Guys, I am so freaking excited. I am so glad you're all here. This is awesome.
And
I
we
cannot wait
for
to
a little
show the world.
for a little polish, do we have like emissive maps for these maybe, so we can have little glowing bits?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. That's what I'll be doing that today. I cleared up everything to get this done. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Nice.
kind of what. Yeah, that's the last thing he has to work on, and then Dan, you and I guess can go have our own private meeting where I can show you the model, the platform model, and we can figure out how to UV map this thing.
Yeah, I also need to talk to whoever. I don't know. I opened up Unity today and I got my updated version on my computer. I just need to figure out where to upload the models so I don't know where things go. So I haven't really checked it out.
That's a good
I'll,
point. Um, Matt and Justin, we should probably normalize where we're sticking models and shaders.
the
I
way
don't
I
know
have
who makes that choice, but we need to standardize that.
because the way I did it was that the ship goes into its folder and then with the model and the textures all together, and that's pretty much the way I've been doing it. So it's whatever it's the normal maps, roughness and metallic with the diffuse, and then the material, and that's kind of how I'm doing it, and then that way everything stays together.
Mhm.
If it's all in a single folder, as in the entire asset is its own like just condensed thing, we have this one folder that just is called redone assets, and if you could just like plop the entire thing in there, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I perfect.
Yeah, we already have the leisure, the stormlord, and the gunship in there, so just yeah.
Yeah, today the power cell and the new ship will be coming in, and then I'll give you the emissive texture, so the back will have like afterburners, like you'll see it from a
A
distance
glow,
too.
yeah,
Mhm.
the engine glow. God, I'm so freaking excited to show the world this. Everyone's gonna want a playable demo. Everyone's gonna want to play the demo immediately.
We should be thinking of so we're making the. Let's try and shoot for the dem. What time should we shoot for the demo to be done?
In a perfect world, we would have the demo of the first two games done by the first of the year. Um, that's what I would kind of target. I feel like it's pretty realistic. We're already so close as it is. Most of the work is on me and Dan to model ships from the first game. But the second game, all the models are pretty much done. And if we had the playable demo, and it is just, setting waves, you kill these three bad guys, three more jump in. That's something we can set pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. I think so we really need it. We should also try and see how difficult it would be to get that recolored, or whatever we were talking about before, not recolored, with the stripe and stuff for denoting better ships, better enemies. Just so it's less monotonous, I guess. I don't know what the right word is for just 3 ships go down, 3 more ships show up. Just so it a little more variety to that.
Yeah.
That, as well as we need to be figuring out how much of the UI we need to accomplish for this. If we're just going to have something like bare bones, so we don't have to work on it for very long, or if we need to like flesh this out a whole bunch.
You mean like the main menu type?
Yeah. Like, how are they going to traverse this demo?
Okay, that's another thing I can focus on. I've been doing a lot of thinking about that, based on what we talked about last week about how do we, for situations where you have an anthology of games, how do you capture all of them but still be true to the same experience while not keeping all the frustrating moments? I can start a document and start building something for that this week, and we can just go from there, and I can socialize it next Monday.
I think one of the things last week we were talking about how much I when I played the Colony Wars game, I was like, I just don't really like this UI system, this main menu. And then I was thinking about why I thought that way, because I there were other games I was playing where I was just like, okay, this is fine, but for Colony Wars specifically, it was just I don't like it. And the reason was it wasn't the visuals that were bad; the visuals were completely fine. It's the sound mainly, just because it's just the sound is kind of compressed sounding. It's just the static combined with that. It's not very good. The sound
It was
is
jarring, and it was kind of, I don't want to say painful to the ear, but sort of.
Yeah, for sure.
Sharp.
Mm-hmm. And it's also due to the fact that there's not very many moving parts. I think if there were like not the static in the background, not the biggest fan of that, but I think that's it's hard to discern like pinpoint what is the thing that I don't like about this. But I think if we have some of the buttons move just a little bit when they're pressed, or just some kind of transition instead of just
transitions and feedback. Yeah.
Like everything else is completely fine. It's just that those 2 things I realized were the big points for me that I had problems with.
Yeah. And I would agree.
So we may
those.
be able to do something about that compressed sound. Like one of the things, if you guys can get me those sound assets, we can actually start getting my team on either replacing or just redesigning them.
So one thing about the sound, I mean, I can send you a video. The sound assets in the first 2 Colony Wars are literally just tones and beeps and static that the engine then does something with to make the sound effect on the fly. They're not like individual sound samples.
Okay.
I understand why they did that for some of the in combat things, because for Doppler shifting and stuff like that. I don't know why they did it for the main menu. I could send the team a video of the main menu gameplay. We're gonna have to recreate a lot of this stuff from scratch,
which is kind of, I figured, and they'll be able to get a hold of some free use sounds that we can use as like placeholders if we have to, and then we can start working on redesigning these sounds, because that's the other thing. It's 1990. The best sound design that 1997 could give us. Yeah, we can do better.
Yeah. And I think just by recreating it, Justin, that's gonna solve one of the issues right there. With modern sound designers and a professional UI designer, I'm not worried about the main menu being as jarring as it was originally.
Mm-hmm. I think the visuals are fine. It wasn't. It's just. Well, not just the visuals. It was that one point which is basically on a base level, the visuals are good, which is you have some kind of movement in it just to make it seem more inviting and modern, just slightly more. Not we really want that aesthetic of the time and stuff, but just a little bit more modern to communicate that this is a remake,
Yeah.
That, as well as the sounds, maybe some of them we keep, many of them we need to change completely just because it doesn't really work. I think just those 2 things. The rest can say the same, because they were good. Just the rest of those 2 things.
Cool. Cool. Well, all right, guys. I think that's everything. Matt, Chris, you and I probably need to chat a little bit with the sound team today. Dan, you and I need to get together about how we're going to UV map the battle platform. And then Matt and Justin, I'm just waiting for Dan to upload his models. And then for one of you guys to make the build, because we don't have another seat for Unity.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as one of you guys can give me the latest build, I'll record some gameplay, I'll shove it into the trailer, and I can make it premiere whenever we want it to.
Okay, and on the trailers regard, I do again. Fox, I know, has been working on a remaster of the track that you sent her.
Yeah. So to let the team know, we're not talking about Fox the company. Fox is one of our composers. So, yeah, we sent her the sound files, and she said she had made some progress. I haven't heard anything yet. We should circle back with them today, Chris.
Yeah, we'll send them the message, and we'll see what we can coordinate. If nothing else, you should be able to get Fox and Vamp. Boz, maybe not, but he's always been sort of he's always been by design on the fringe of the project. So if he doesn't make it, it's not as big a deal.
Yeah.
They can coordinate with him. But we definitely need to talk to Fox today, I think.
Yeah. So, Dan, why don't I let you, why don't we call the meeting? Dan, if you can work on the emissive maps, and then I'll circle back with you later on today about the battle platform. I think Chris and I need to go chat with the sound team pretty much right away.
Great, sounds good.
Cool. Thanks so much for the hustle, guys. You guys are awesome. I am so freaking excited. I can't wait to show the world this.
For sure.
Yeah, take care, bud.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you then.
Yep.
Okay, bye.
All right, later.